So we did the Siyata Nishmaya, the Ktos HaChoshen, in Rei Shayin Chet. But before we continue, we should do the Ktos HaChoshen and Reish Dalet. It's printed out, there's some papers there. Reish Dalet. Reish Dalet, Sif Ches. Siyata Nishma. It's in Reish Dalet, Sif Koton, Gimel. Reish Dalet, Sif Koton, Gimel.
I guess I need that one. Let me go. I have a different one.
But the fine this and this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Aaron, come here for a second. Go out and start the Zoom outside. There's good connection and come back. No, outside. Start on the outside because the reception here is not so strong. Once you start it, so it doesn't get cut off. So quickly.
Thank you.
Okay, what we're talking about here in Siman Reish Dalet is about Mekach u'Memkar. And the Gemara says that if somebody gives a gift to his friend, so he has to write a shtar matona. Make a kinyan. What happened if he only said in his mouth to give a gift? So one who says to his friend, I want to give you a gift, he didn't give it, is Areza Mechusra Amono. He is a person that he does sin, is a sinner. Mechusra Amono. No, Mishapora is less. Stronger, I mean. Stronger. Mishapora is if I have. No, Mishapora, let's say I did a kinyan, but not a complete kinyan. So then, or kinyan that is wrong, there's oino in it. Let's say I need to do meshicha and kesef, and I did only meshicha, not kesef. So if I retract as mishapora. Mechusar Amon is just with words alone. You're lacking belief. Your word is not a word. You're not a belief person. Amanah is a language of emunah, belief. The lack of a belief, you can't believe you. And the Jewish people, Sherit Israel, asu avla. The Jewish people don't do avla and not kazav, not false. When we speak, en tzedek hahen is hen, love is love. So the law is, I'm reading the Shulchan Aruch, v'chen mi shoyim lechaver oliten lo matona v'nosa. One who, I'm reading Siman Reish Dalet Sif Ches in the Shulchan Aruch. Same way, if somebody tells his friend, I'm going to give you a gift, and he didn't give, arei ze mechusra amono. He is part of those that break the words and cannot be believed. The sinners. That's when only is a small gift. Sharei, I'm turning the page. The receiver rely on the receiver, on the receiver relying his das when he promised. When there's a big gift, there's no lack of belief. He didn't believe in or give him those gifts. Until he makes a kinyan that you acquire them with them. So again, somebody promised a small gift. Is mechusar amona because there's a smichus das. But, so then he's not to retract. He's a sinner if he retracts. But, because he's doing avla, he caused someone to believe and rely, and retracting. So a Jew is not to retract. But it's a big gift, he has to make a kinyan.
Why do they give a right to retract?
What?
Why do they give a right to retract?
Because it is a maise, just his words. Words alone, I have to say in English, words are cheap.
There's a mixture to allow this to...
No, words is just the words. So matana muetes with words, people rely. Right. Promise me. But a big matana, no, words alone is nothing. But small matana, words is something which mechusar amon.
But big and small has nothing to do with the quantity of money.
I don't know.
Is what? Meiser only, right?
I don't know. Pasha small means small money. Small value, small money. Now meaning the Ktois HaChosh. Gimel. First page. B'matona muete is a small gift. בפרק הזו, במציעים במתס עמודה לפורמה, הפופר מוידי רבי יוחנן. במתונה מועטת זה סוף חודתי. רבי יוחנן, הפופר said that Rabbi Yochanan admits that there is mechusar amono by a small gift. Why? The Som Chodate, because the person relies on it, and therefore you're doing an avli, you're deceiving someone. He said, Jewish people don't speak false. But that's, by the way, that's only between man to man. If somebody says, I'm going to give tzedakah, just with his mouth, so I'm going to give 10% of my earnings, or whatever it is, he's allowed to retract?
It's not his.
If it's Meiser,
No, not Meiser. Tzedakah. Meiser is not his. And tzedakah means it's something that comes in front of you. Right? Dibu. Even
if he thinks it.
Right. Somebody's even thinking. But definitely if you speak in your mouth, it's like a vow you must keep. Let's continue on the Gemara. Ochonam mistabra. The Gemara says also it makes sense. That what? That Rabbi Yochanan will admit by Maton Muetes in order to retract his Mechusar Amono Kosam Chedate. Why? The Omar Rabbi Avon Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said something else. Israel Shomar leben Levi. In Israel means you have Kohen Levi in Israel. A Jew, which is the status as Israel, he told the Ben Levi, Kur Meiser Yesh Lecha. Kur, it's an amount of wheat, grains, of Meiser Yesh Lecha Biyod, you have in my hands. Means, I want to give you as a gift this big volume of, it's called Kur. Kur, it's an amount of value, not weight, as value. Amount of value that of Meiser you have in my hands. I want to give it to you. So lichoiro, kur is a big matona, right? But since you have to give it anyhow, it's not yours. So it becomes muet. It's just tevasano. So the law is, Rabbi Yochanan said, Ben Levi rashai la'asoi sotrumo al mokemaka. The Ben Levi is already allowed to use that promise of a gift and take off Meiser on another pile of grains that he has in his house. You should do it. I don't want to touch nothing of this pile of mine. I'm going to take off Masrot from the other pile that this guy promised me. And right now I need it all. I have a lot of guests, a lot of need. So right now I'll use it all. and I'll take off myself from the promise he gave me on this pile. What do you mean I'll make it? Because the law is Ben Levi needs to give Meiser too. Ben Levi needs to give something called Trumas Meiser. Meiser mina Meiser. We learn in our Parsha. Parsha's Koirach. Meiser of the Meiser. So Ben Levi says he has another pile. And he says, listen, I want to give Trumas Meiser. Means Truma from a Meiser. And he give to the Kohen as Muetes. Yes, I want to give it from the pile that he gave me. Because he promised me 10%. That 10% is called Meiser Rishon. It goes to the Levi. And I need to give off of that 10% back to the Kohen. So I'm not going to give 10%, give more than 10%, and the extra more I'm going to give from that pile that he promised me on what I need to take off from my pile of my house.
So the Rasha is only on Torah now. We don't have yet the Rasha on real business. Right?
Kazav, yeah. Avla, I call it, yes. Amres, yes. It says he's allowed to do that. Ben Levi Rashai. So he's permitted. La soy Trumas Meiser Mokremacher. He's permitted to do Trumas Meiser in another place. This is the statement of Rabbi Avo, the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So now the Gemara wants to prove from that Rabbi Yochanan that it makes sense what Rav Papa said. Rav Papa said that Rabbi Yochanan admits by Maton that is Mechusar Amono. It won't make sense because we see from another Rabbi Yochanan that's what he holds. Why? If you're going to say that it's not possible to retract, therefore he's permitted to take off Trumas HaMaisas. Since the Israel is not to retract from the promise, so the Ben Levi is permitted to take off Trumas Meiser on another pile, on the cheshbon of that promise. If you're going to say that it's possible to retract, because when he promises, it's only a promise, and he's allowed to retract, Amai Rashai, why the Ben Levi is permitted to take off Meiser, Trumas Meiser on that promised gift? The person is allowed to retract. Ishtaka comes out. The Kochen Dvein comes out and he's eating tevel.
But still leaving that.
What?
He still always could go back, right? No situation.
Since allowed to retract must be that without retracting is a Isur. Upirush Rashi, and Rashi explains. Mishum Ochi Rashi, sheyesh lo Mishum Ochi Rashai. Because you're not allowed to retract is permitted. Sheyesh lo lismoich. The Jew can rely on Al Masha'omu is what has been said by the rabbi, by the Nevi'im. Sherit Israel, the leftover of the Jewish people. Lo yasu avla, do not make false, do not make...
He's a haver. He's a haver?
No, a Jew. Do not make avla. Avla means do something bad.
He's a haver. He's believed in taking...
No, we're not talking about that. It's not our subject. ולא יתננו לוי אחר. שהיא תזר לסו עוולה ולדבר כזב. They will not do false, not deceive people, not speak false. ולא יתננו לוי אחר. The Jews not going to give to another Levi once he promised me. The matonu moetes, which is a small gift. Ein shel. Look there. So once he promised me, and there's a small matona, they won't do false, and they won't give it to another Levi because it's a small matona.
Wait a second, but when Rashi says this,
Yes, Reb Shmuel. I'm reading the Ktsois in Siman Reish Dalet, Sivkot and Gimel. Ktsos, Achoshem. Siman Reish Dalet, Ilchos Mekach Memka. Sivkot and Gimel. We just started it. We gave it out. It's not on the sheet. It's written in the sheet to look there. So take a picture and send it there. You have your phone here?
my phone is here.
You have it, so you want to give it to Reb Shmuel? What? Yeah, okay, if you don't know, forget about somebody else will do it.
And if he goes back, and Achanam is not Rasha, but if he did
He's
it,
not allowed to retract, and I can rely there's not a because he's not going to do a sin. But the Maisa retracts, he retracts, and I have to do again the Tumas the Maisa and the Maisa, Tumas Maisa. But as long as he didn't retract, I can rely that he's not going to retract.
but the Maisa he still could do it.
What?
He still, if he could do it, he could be Choizer himself.
Yes, but I can rely on the prohibition. He's not going to do a prohibition, and therefore I'm allowed to take off two Maisas. Yes, I'm sure. He has it. Okay, and I'll send it as good.
Again, the papers still.
Good. Okay, we got receives it. The kosher comes the Ktois HaChoshel. He says, I don't understand this piece of a Gemara.
Anybody else needs to pick?
No, not that I know of.
What next is that?
What? Ponak is not on yet. If he screams and shouts, they give it to him. The kosher comes the Ktois HaChoshel. He has a very simple fundamental question, which is to do with us the same thing. The kosher. It's very hard, this Gemara. Why? Nehi truly shemuftach loy. That's been promised to him. Shemevadeit nenu loy, that for sure we give it to him. Akati still, b'may kono, with what he acquired. Where's the king in here? Akati still b'may kono, with what he acquired. That meiser, la'asoi so achshov, to do right now. Tumas meiser, that I can take tumas meiser on another pile, on the pile they promised me. Keimon da'achshav, since right now, adain still, eino shaloi, is not his. V'lo zocha bo, he didn't merit it. Since still is not his and he didn't merit it, so how can he make it right now? Tumas meiser. And promise good is a good promise. And he's not to retract, and I cannot rely that he's not going to retract. But to take off meiser, I need to own it. I mean, take off and give it to the Kohen. How can I take it off and give it to the Kohen if I don't own it? So the Ktois HaChoshel answered, he gave me permission to take it off. So once I take it off, it's like Toikif, Tok for Kohen, it's finished. I take it off and I gave it to the Kohen, and he gave me permission to take it off. He promised me, means promise. By promise, it's like Makir Kuna, same thing, it's a promise, and it's Matamutes. He's not going to retract, means he gave me permission to take it off. So I took it off. I took it. So then now we cannot retract anymore. So I have a good answer for that, right?
Which answers
Reisha and Chet. But in here he says the same thing, but a little bit more, much more shiny and cut. Veroisi b'shita, and he found Rishonim that says so. Veroisi b'shita mekubetzes. We saw in the shita mekubetzes, she'irgish b'zeh. He felt this problem. Vekosav ze lashon, he wrote this as a language. Rashai ben Levi lasos. Ben Levi is permitted to take off Tumas and Meiser min ha-Meiser, on the promise that the Jew gave him. Kosav Rabbeinu Meir. Rabbeinu Meir wrote. Who's Rabbeinu Meir?
Yad Rama.
No. Rabbeinu Meir is Rabbeinu Meir from Rothenburg.
Who?
From Rothenburg. Af al pi, even though Shelo Yikno ben Levi, even though the Ben Levi didn't acquire it, Lo b'meshich lo b'agbo, he didn't acquire the promise of the Meiser from the Israel. He didn't acquire Lo b'meshich without pulling it. Lo b'agbo, he didn't lift it up. Still, ainu we dealing b'makir kuno. Wow. When the Gemara said that the Ben Levi, that Israel promised to the Jews, not verbal promise, it wasn't verbal. It's makir kuna. The choshiv ki'ilu belo yodoi is considered, he was a good friend of his. And without saying verbal, is considered as if it came to his hands. Kedeita perikol agela says in Gita that he even can sell it. He can borrow money and deduct a debt from it. Im ken lo igora, there's now worse. Minoisen reshus lechavero. Here, you see this where the extra is got it from. It's now worse than like somebody gives a permission to his friend. Sheitroi mikeri o shotvuo sheloi. I gave my friend permission to take off truma from his keri on my keri. So once I gave him permission and he did the permission, and he acted upon the permission, it's a done deal.
He must have smoothed it already. He must have done a morea.
No, that's already when you chayav a truma. It's not our question. You're right. All what he's saying is true. It's not our point. Our point definitely didn't make it. Otherwise, not chayav.
Isn't he also talking about people that are Harvarian? It's not our point, but isn't it true?
No,
that
why?
These people are believable. Believe that if he had it.
No, chayav is his belief is he took to Muslims.
Yeah, if a person passes away.
Yes.
And you find produce in his
So
house.
by chayav you assume he took off Muslims. It's not our case.
I know it's not our case, but aren't
It's all true what you say, but not our case. Our case is a Jew meets another Ben Levi. He tells him, I have truma for you. I have Meiser Sheni for you. Meiser Ishmael.
But these people are Haverim,
No. The Shinu Kubetza says that they are friends, not Chaverim. Chaverim is a status of a Talmid Chacham. No, we're not about Talmid Chacham. We're normal Jews. But since the Makir Kuno is considered as if it came to his hand, or Matan Muetas, like Makir Kuno, as if I gave him permission. This is what the Shinu Kubetza answers. Even though there's no Meshich and Akbar, but since he's a friend, it's considered as if it came to his hands, that he gave him permission to take it off. Va'akati still. Oh, very good, Reb Chaim. This is the first point. Va'akati still, lo yizbarer, is not clear. The Masha Omar, the Meir Makir Kuno. He says, what does the Shittim Kubetzes Rabbeinu Meir gain or Eren by saying that the Gemara in Mobetzia, that Rabbi Yochanan said, Ben Levi, Yisrael that met Ben Levi, says, I have Meiser of yours by me. Toma Makir Kuno. Still kosher. Either way you go. Ine, what if we're going to say, the Makir Kuno Choshev Kimoy Kinyan Mamash. If we're going to say that Makir Kuno is like a real full acquisition, like the Rashbam, he can, if so, how do we know from this Matan Muetas? It's not a small gift. It's a kinyan. It's a kinyan. Keven a makir kuno choshiv kinyan mamash. V'av ezechiyah gemura. How do we know from this? The Rosh says, the Rabbeinu Meir says like makir kuno. If makir kuno is a mamash ezechiyah gemura for somehow. So how do we know by small Matan Muetas is a ezechiyah gemura? By lovers. Okay, you have ezechiyah gemura. By Matan Muetas, who says there's a chiyah gemura there? Ve'inei, if we're going to say makir kuno, no kinyan mamash. But because it's not a kinyan mamish. I'm reading here the bottom notes. Okay, but we didn't learn it yet, so therefore we can't really read it. Okay. Let's continue on. V'inema. And if we're going to say the makir kunei no kinyan mamesh, El or the makir kuna v'lematon muetes. If you're going, it's not a real acquisition. Just as a small gift, the osul lachzor is just you have a prohibition to retract. The chamavur b'toises b'shel tochalim, like you see in Toises in our Masechet. In Boabasa page Kufchav Gimel Ein Shom Shekosu they wrote. The time matriuno, the reason of makir kuna is what? Mishum because maton muetes, because it's a small gift. Ve'osul lachzor bo, you're not allowed to retract. The Alpha Pishim Rotzo lachzor bo, even if he wants to retract, he could retract. Yochol lachzor, he could retract. Mikol mokum in any place. Kol kama do leoda, as long as he didn't retract, ava muchzok, he's considered a holder, Ein Shom. He says, I don't understand what the Rosh answered. It's Makir Kuna. He says, what Makir Kuna does. If it's a kinyan, so how do we know by Maton Muetes? If it's not a kinyan, so how can you give it over? You can retract. Good is muchzak, but still. I'm not sure if you can still. Akati eino elokim maton muetes. If we're going to say simply like Toises in Boabasa, that maton muetes and makir kun is the same. That's just a prohibition to retract, but you could retract legally. Sim can, if so, akati still eino elokim maton muetes. They no kiyan still is not a acquisition. Ve'ena shelo is not, the coin doesn't belong to, the coin doesn't own it yet. How can he make it maisa? And we adding, how can you give it over to a son? He says, okay. So the Ktoi says happy with Bechoy. He says it's good by Bechoy, Choshim Muchzok. By Bechoy he says the father is a holder, even though he doesn't own it, there's no kinyan on it, there's no acquisition. And since he's holding it and is made to come to him and is coming because when he's made to come to him, so therefore the Bechon get double somehow, even though there's no ownership. Which all the Achoyim don't understand this Ksois. But the Ksois is happy with that. He says, by Bechoy, I can say it, although he doesn't own it, but since he's the Muchzog, the father is a holder of it, he can, so that he can give it over somehow. But by Meiser, how can I take off Meiser which is not mine? How can I make a Chalois Meiser on something which is not mine? He gave me permission, good. Umashe kosav oid. He said, I don't understand, if it's not yours, you don't have a king in it, how can I do Meiser, make Chalois Meiser? On something that's not mine, I don't know. Umashe omru oid. And what they said more. The loigoa is not worse than minoisen reshus lechavero sheitro mikeri. It's not worse from giving permission to your friend that he will take off maisers on his pile from yours. Al tvur shaloi, from your pile and his tvur. Not mikoshali. This is also hard for me. Though a maiser eno shaloi, still the maiser not his. Ve'en lo belotov asanoi, only has tovatana, only some kind of benefit of pleasure that he can decide who to give it to. If so, how is it possible they can give permission? They take off truma from others. Is that his? Even those who hold to us on his momoy, it's only in the value of whatever's value to Masano. It's small. The value of Tosan, let's say, how much, let's say the pile of Meiser is worth, let's say, $1,000. And Tomasano is $50. Because it's just, or $100, because I just have the rights to decide who to give it to. It's not the full value of the thing. But the body of the wheat, of the grains, of the fruits, and also it's not his. It's only Tomasano. Tomasano he can give me. What he has, he can give me. But tell him what this he can give, he give it. Tomasano is not the goof of the tvur itself. It's very strong kasha. So even though Tomasano is there, Tomasano is not in the body. It's just a small value of it. There, sure. how can you yoitze and take off mices on something that's yours?
Because they made a din when they were kovei, and it doesn't have anything.
But where's the din? But the Shidduch Kubes asked, he asked the question. There's no Meshicha no Akbar. He didn't say that's the din. He held that he took off the mices, you have to have a Meshicha and Akbar. And he asked, where's the Meshicha and Akbar? And he answers, Makira Kuna. She said, Makira Kuna, what is it? If it's a Kinyan, Mamesh, Zechir Gemura.
Even that word is even a lot.
Even, what?
Even a
No,
lot.
how do you know Matonu Muetas from it? Here it's a Kinyan, Matonu Muetas, how do you know it works? And if it's not a Kinyan, so how does it work? Tevasano is not only a value, a certain small value, is not the value of the body of the Tvur, which is not more, much more. Ve'efshar impossible. Da'arosh svir alei leman domar, the leman domar Tevasano momen avel kilu kol ha'maisa shalom. The Rosh maybe holds that Tevasano momen means the whole thing,
It doesn't
as if the whole maisa is his.
It doesn't belong to the person.
It's not according to the value, how much I value Tevasano in money. No, if I have rights to decide who to give it, so I have rights on the whole thing. At that time I'm giving. Oh, yes, it's hard. But he says still, it's not a good answer. Why? Ooh, he says, the halacha is Tevasano is not momoy. Now, so the halacha, how can Matonu Muetas work? For Maisa. Tevasano is not momoy. First of all, Tevasano is only a small amount. And even if he wants to say it's the whole, it means I control the entire Maisa, and all Maisa is my control. My ano on it. But still, the halacha Tevasano is not momoy. How does it work? Tovatana ain't no momoy, he says the halacha is. That's all he.
Why the Chachamim, when they kovei a dinim, they don't have to be Messias. They can kovei a din without a Messias.
But who says the koveya?
Because Chachamim have the right to.
Well, you want to say it's a gzeras hakosu, a decree of the rabbi, it's the kolas chachamim.
Looks like a tikkun
It's the rabbanon law.
olam.
They rights also they can give gifts whatever they want, but it's not the case. Nobody says that gzeras is a gzeras chachamim. Efker bezin efker. They're giving a svara. They're asking a question and give an answer. If they don't have a question, it's just as a efker bezin efker. Good. So to the very answer. The Shidduch Kubetza says Rabbeinu asked, "There's no Mashiach and Akbar." Should answer. You know why? Because there's efker bezin efker. He didn't say that. He's trying to give answers how legally, according to the normal legal rules, it works. So we ask him, how does it work? That's our problem. So now he gives an answer. Nobody says they can't. But they don't do it if there's no necessity. But they don't do it unless they need so. They don't do it unless extreme cases that they want to do it for some reason. Here, it looks like the Rishonim understood it's not an extreme case, and they're searching for an answer. So he says they search, but they give an answer. Ubeikar akusha. The main kasha, he says, nire. He says, okay, Rabbeinu Meir asked a question, and the Rosh answered that it's Makiri Kuna. Amatonu where this works. He says Makiri Kuna. It's as if it's yours. And I give him permission. He says, good, but you give permission, Makiri Kuna, you're now to retract. So by Bechor you can say it's Muhzok. Somehow Muhzok, even if you don't own, Bechor gets double. Okay, Meir says I can understand that. But by Maisa you need to own it. How does it work? How can I take off Maisa? I don't know. So he gives an answer. ובעיקר הקושיה נראה לפי מה שכוסף הראש בנדורים, בשם רבינו אליעזר ממיץ. He says, if you look in the Rosh in Nedorim Lamed, the Rosh brings down Rabbi Lezer Mimitz. Rabbi Lezer Mimitz from the city of Mitz. By the way, the rabbi of Mitz is my student. He learned in the Yeshiva.
Now,
I don't know now. 20 years ago he was there. I don't remember his name. But I remember he was here with Yair Didi, one of the guys here in
What
Yeshiva.
country is that?
France.
Yeah.
What? No, not Yaakov. That's from your time. They were much later. My student. That was my father's student. Anyhow. B'shem Rabbeinu Eliezer Mimitz. De'eiche de'oyo lefonov kikar shel hefker. Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz says when somebody had a piece of bread, a loaf of bread of hefker. A loaf of bread of hefker. Everyone has where I'm reading?
Yeah. Fourth big line from the top.
רב מנחם, יש לך איפה שאני קורא? יוסף, יש לך? Moshe, do you have where I'm reading?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Where I'm reading? You don't have. I'm reading Tzoy Siman Reish Daled in the page we gave of Tav Tav Yud Chet, 4 lines on the top, from the top. 3 lines on the top. That the Rosh Hashanah named Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz. You have that? You have it there? Good. So what does Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz say? The Eicha where? The oil in front of Kikar Shel Hefker. When somebody had in front of him a loaf of Hefker, a loaf of bread of Hefker. You know what Hefker means? Nobody belongs to the ownerless. Nobody belongs. So everybody is. They left it over. It's Hefker. Ve'ein odom samuch loi. There's no man next to that bread. In the street, you see a loaf of bread, fresh loaf of bread, and nobody's around it. Hefker.
Maybe it has a big gold coin in it.
No, not gold coin. As bread. You want to eat the bread. Elo, rather, u sheyochol iskos boy. The only man that is the most close to it is me. I have the ability to pick it up and merit it and acquire it. Comes the Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz and says, Yochoi leagdishoi. You can sanctify that piece of bread. Kevon, since the beyodoi liskos boy. Since you have the abilities in your hands means you control, is to acquire it. Wow. Like it says in Perek Afalpi, Gabesodi shemishkanti lecho. If I gave my field and I put as a collateral to you, again, I say, the field that I gave you as a collateral, Hegdesh will be sanctified. So it is sanctified. Why? It's in my hands to redeem it. What do you mean? But it's not my domain and not my control. I gave it to him as a collateral. But since I have the ability to redeem it, it's in my hands, it's considered my control. Ochonami here also. Big hinge, big jump. So what does Rabbi Eliezer Mimitz learn from Sodom Mishkante Lecho Yehegdesh? Since Biyoda Livdoida, same thing as if I have a lechem kikar hefker. It's not mine. I own the hefker? No. It's not mine. It's hefker. Did I acquire it yet? No. But I have the ability to acquire it, so I can sanctify it.
When he makes hektish a field that he's given as collateral,
Yes.
what does that do for the guy that's holding it as collateral? What does that do for him? He has collateral now, it's hektish. It doesn't belong to him anymore.
Right.
So how does he make that deal? He made the
No
deal.
problem, because the loch is Egdesh, Chometz, Veshichu, Mafkin, Vishiabud.
Excuse me?
The Gemara says many places that Egdesh, Chometz, and Shiabud, Mafkin, Midei, Efker, Chometz, Veshichu, Mafkin, Midei, Shiabud. Egdesh, if you have a Shiabud on something like Magdish, it destroys your Shiabud. If you have an ownership on something and it's Chometz V'Pesach, the Chometz V'Pesach breaks your ownership. Yes.
But it's not his as collateral anymore.
Doesn't matter. But the power of Hegdesh can destroy the Shiabud.
Yeah.
Yes.
I understand that.
Then you come to me complaining, you want money for it, that's a separate issue. But the power of Halish can destroy the shiabud.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
V'ochenami here also. Okay, but the vadai lo yachzor, sin for sure, you're not going to retract. Mishum, because the Sherish Yisrael Yasu Avlo, because the rest of the Jews will not do false, will not bring talks false, they keep the words. Avale, it is like as if it's in his hands to acquire. It's in my hands to acquire. Kevin, since the Vada Yidnenu, since for sure he's going to give it to me. So he jumps from, I see a hefker which I have the ability to pick it up, is already in my hand to Hegdish. Big jump. Same thing is here, when a Jew promised me something that he's not allowed to retract, halachically, there's a prohibition, means for sure it's going to me. This for sure is going to come to me, because he's a Jew. He's going to pick his word. He's not allowed not to keep his word. So there's no other side that he's not going to keep his word. So for sure it's going to come to me. So I can build on it. It's already considered in my hands, and I can take Mises, Magdi, sanctify it. It says in my hand, it holds for any sanctity. Le Trumo, le Mises, it says in Kiddushin, it says in my hand to cut off the wheat. It's considered in my hands, I can take off Trumo Mises. Here for sure the other Jew is going to give me the Kohen and the Levi and the Maisa. Ela shemechus kinyan, which is missing acquisition. But it's in the hands to redeem it and take it. Which is obviously it's in the hands, I can sanctify it, take off the Muslim Maisa. So by Bechol, you don't own it, but you're mohzak. It's beyodo, you gave me permission to take it, it's in my hands. So I can give it over as a bechor. I can give it over to a bechor, and he gets double. By my side, I can sanctify it. Since it's in my hands and my control, because he cannot retract, and he promises for sure will come to me. For sure will come to me means it will come to me. It's in my hands to take it, as if he gave me permission. What? He's not allowed to retract. That's called cant. When you're not allowed for a Jew is cant. I remember there's a lawyer told me, okay, so let's go to Israeli court, means a Goyish court. He says, but I'm not allowed. He says, but you can. He says, what I can, but I'm not allowed. If I'm not allowed means I can't. Not allowed to go to a non-Jewish court. But the other side takes me, okay, so I can fight him. I get permission from rabbis, I can listen, or whatever. We're not to go to the non-Jewish court. Can I take another Jew to a Jewish court? To an Israeli court, to a Goyish court?
It's a prohibition.
Prohibition. But if I took, and I take him on a Maganev, no, it's money. I took his money. I'm not allowed. Not allowed means doesn't. I remember one time, there was the Griz, Rabbi Yitzchak Zev Soloveitchik. He was standing davening Shmon Esrei, and another person was davening behind him. And somebody called him and says, please come, there's an emergency. He said, I can't. He said, what do you mean you can't? He says, I can't, there's a wall here. What? Moshe Feinstein, same idea. Not allowed means I can't, it doesn't exist. Okay, big Kiddush. Yes, go ahead.
We jumped a big jump because the whole case was based on the kikar she'ein adam samuch lo. That's only how it started, because ein adam samuch lo. So now this ein adam samuch lo, we say because there is a nisur lachzor bo, that all the other Levim are gone. They're also not samuch, suddenly. That's what he's saying. That's a big.
Again, repeat.
Again, when the whole case was based on a loaf of bread,
right,
and you're alone there, and nobody's around. Nobody's around. And from that, he jumps to the fact
that what? That what it says they want.
What?
And what does it say the Rabbi Lezer meets? What does the Rosh says and the Rabbi Lezer meets there? Why? Why? Why you can sanctify? What's a svara?
Because there's nobody around.
No, it's not the svara he says.
If there is somebody around, you can't do that.
That's true, but it's not the svara. What's a svara? Why you can sanctify it?
Because it's like in my hand. I
Oh,
can just pick it up.
something that is in your hand, beyodoi, is the result is there. Anything which is in my hand to do, as if it's been done
Right.
legally to do a sanctity. Same thing is here. If it's a beyodi to reach it because he promised not to reach it. So that beyodi means it's in my hand, legal is in my hand to do sanctity.
Wonderful, but in the bread case, there was nobody around. In the Meiser case, there are many living water around.
Yeah, but you don't have to give it to them.
What? So you're saying...
He's
that
not
the
allowed to
fact-
give it to them.
The fact that it cannot be choser be...
Right.
It makes that all the other...
That nobody's around, right? And it's a beyodi to
That's
come.
like the Kiryas Yaakov thing. Like suddenly...
Kind of, but it's not the same.
Everybody's there.
It's not the same. Because Gilead goes hold that there is a kinyan. He said there's no kinyan here. No kinyan, I don't own it. In Bechor, I'm a muchzok works without a kinyan. In Meiser, I can sanctify even without a kinyan. And there's a beyodoi as a deen that is if it's mine, reference to Hegdesh and Meisers and
That's enough to build that...
Tumas and Meisers. So it's a Achel Mayaskina. Tumas and Meisers is a special deen. They don't have to own it in order to sanctify it, like Hegdesh, if it's beyodoi. And Bechor, also, I don't have to own it. It just sits the father's muchzok, so he can give, and I get a double share even though he doesn't own it.
So you're
This is the Ktsois sheet.
You're saying that in the bread case, it's only for
I
Hekdesh?
can't hear two people. What?
You're saying that in the bread case, the only thing you can, that the only time where we consider it's already yours is only for Hekdesh, not for to sell a piece of bread now?
Let's sell it.
Only for Hekdesh?
Only for Hegdesh. Only for Truma, Meiser, and Hegdesh, yes.
Why in this?
And Bechor. Bechor muchzok is not enough to get. It's Elche. So the Ktsois learned as a Ochem Mayaskina. It's a special case, no doing with anything else. What do you want to say?
The core is sanctified in the stomach. isn't it?
What?
The core is sanctified in the stomach.
From the stomach.
Yeah, it's not owned at all by the person.
True.
Only these things can be other.
Kodosh Mirech.
Because
Only these things are considered be other.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the next person who acquires.
And if it's beyodoi, you can sanctify it. So it's only considered shaloi, reference to Hegdesh and Tumas and Meiser.
And
Nothing.
he says that there's no one else around.
Right.
He's saying that no one else sees it at the same time and decides they're going to take it. There's no one else around.
Right.
He's the one who sees it. He's able
And he's the only one there, and he has the ability to pick it up. He can sanctify even before he picks it up.
Svara for that? Why? Why only Hekdesh? What happened?
He brings a Gemara. כדאומר הפרק אף על פי, כבסודה שמשכנתי לך, יהיה הקדש, שנביודו לפדויסו. Anything was in your hands to do, it's in your dominion, and it's like in your ownership. What do you want to say? It's everything in your control. If I control it,
If I can sell it.
it's in my reshus and it's like mine. I cannot sell if I don't own it, but I can sanctify. It's very strange. Why? You know why? Why the question is in is because it's a pasuk. Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Ish ki yagnishus beisoy. Ma beisoy shelo yu bershusoi. Af kol dov has to be shelo in reshusoy. If it's shelo not reshus, reshus not shelo, I cannot sanctify. Like by gezel. Gezel can be my reshus. I control it. I robbed it. I control it. But there's no shinu. There's no change in it. So it's not, it says, in my control, my domain, but not shaloi. Here I have the same thing. I have control. It's not mine. But the answer is, as long as not somebody else, even if it's not yours, there's not nobody else because of hefker.
Well, why again? Why only Hekdesh?
So then you can sanctify. So it fits in. By the way, the Pnei Yeshua said in the sugya of Tokfa Kohen that when I have the ability to reach it and there's nobody else, so then it's like ish ki yagdish beisoy, that is in your domain, in your reshus. It's your ownership, as if it's your ownership in your dominion. Or say here, if I have kikar efker, nobody owns it, but I have the ability to control it and acquire it and become mine.
Why only Hekdesh? You're not answering. Why only Hekdesh? What? Besides Sakasur, you're saying now?
You big Gemara?
That doesn't help me.
Maybe
I
not
want
that
to
far.
I don't know. Gabei soda shemishkante lechoy hegdesh.
I don't know actually.
if I gave you a soda and I gave it as a collateral to you to collect from it, so you have a shibud on it.
There's no das acheret.
But since it's beyond the lifdoiso, so then I can sell it, even though there's no dimyon, because there, it's my field, just I give a collateral to somebody else, but it's not my field. Once I can redeem, once I have it in my hands to redeem, is shiabud, so then what? So then it's mine. To start with is mine. But something which is not mine, actually is hefker or somebody else, and he's willing to give it, he promised to give it to me. They say it's mine because reference to Hegdish, it's too big, a lot of big chilushim. I won't say it on my own. There's numbers here. Me'avashesh, what is that?
Because really, is he just being a vessel to the next step of Kedusha?
What?
Really, that person's just being a placeholder until it reaches the stage it needs to reach to, which is Kedusha. Truma, Maisa, Hektish.
Yes.
So there's no, he's really not acquiring it, he's just kind of passing it through.
Yes. But the question is how you have the ability to pass it through and give it over to Hegdish, something that's not yours.
Well, because it's
He
got
says,
to-
since it's
got
my
to get
control, and I could, as if it's in my mind, I can give it over. It's a big Kiddush. Big Kiddush why?
there. And it's
It doesn't say why. He just brings the Rosh and it says as a fact. Let's see the Rosh inside.
because it seems like all the
If
other
Shlomo, you want to bring the Rosh? Let's see the Rosh.
it seems like
Rosh in the Doim Lamedal Amud Beis. Let's bring the Doim.
it seems like in the next case, in the other cases that are not these Hektish and Truma and Maisa,
Yes. Yes. Thing which is not Hegdish or Ma'aser, it won't work.
it wouldn't work because
Right.
it's based in his
Because you don't own it.
ownership.
Because you don't own it, right?
But there's no ownership.
Right.
Owner.
By Bechor is miyuchad. It works. Memוחזק it works. By Hegdish and Ma'aser is miyuchad. But but other things, by Edjo, it doesn't work.
Because you have a thing, because you have the ownership problem. The next owner doesn't have a care and a worry about who it came from, who it was, what it is.
Lamed yes. Here. It's in chapter 4.
Yeah, see.
Yes, 1 second. 1 second. No, there's only 1 second, maybe 4. Lamed base. Lamed email. Probably it's on the Gemara. You have Rosh on the side of the Gemara. It's not the Rosh in the back. Rosh probably, yes, Rabbi Pia, Reb Shmuel, yes. What? You lost me in the picture? Okay, now you can see me? What? You can't see me? Okay, but he wants to see me too, it's okay. And I want to see him. Okay. Okay? It could be one side, that's okay. No, okay, well, let's focus here. Here you have the Rosh here. Here, אויזר von Kika של הפקר. אז המויס הוא מכיר, אז הוא האידש, כיוון שהוא בתוך 4 משל חנה על האידש, וכאן הוא מציא דה 4 משל אדם קודש או חלמוקה. Yeah, I got it. I'm just looking the way he says there. Here, I Verstanden. Wie ich habe lesen mit Amai noch gegür של הפקר נאמו ישראל לפון gegür של הקדש. פירוש של יצחק שהכיכר של הקדש או ישראל רחוק ממנו. לא סמוך לו שיחו לסקריס. אלא הוא ואומר, איך שעסקה בקיר זה תהיה הקדש. כמה שלחל על ההקדש דקמת דביון הליסקויס בוי. אבל ביסוד הזו שמשכתי, אני יכול כשהבדנו תקדוש, לקוד שואל ביוד לבדוש. Wow, doesn't make sense what he says. There he says that only will be kodesh when I redeem it. He says it will be hekdesh when I pick it up. Right now, sanctify when I pick it up. I have to actually pick it up. When I redeem it, it will be kodesh. ochana mikер ליד וליור עליו, זה משודש, אבל יוד הליסקו כמובן ועד איננו לא ולא יחזור. אני יכול לדבור לטור ממייסס. איננו לא יש מחוזקים, והרי ביור לבדו יסוי. Good. So therefore you can sanctify only when you get actually in your hands. But not right now. For the Gemara's Masha, right now is Kodesh.
That's what this guy, that's what he's asking. It's exactly what he said.
Okay, so here's a good question. What?
In 106, that's what he's
106, that's his question.
yeah.
I read that. He comes with a question at the end there.
למפרע.
Still a question. How he could have an opinion in it is still a question.
Yes. תעניין לו, דברי הרבנינו ממיץ הוא רק דמעני יאיר שלאחר שיזכה. ולא כמה זו שלו בלא אלו. אבל כל מוקם פשיט לקונים שזוכו לך להקדש. והיא לא חמה שתכף ובתחום מסומייס ופרו אינטרסתם פרמיטר דהרי מלקטון רשאי לעשויס. היינו דן צוריך לא חושם היחזור ישראל וכאן אוכל לדבר מפרד. הרי מבוא דו לא יכל פר מפרו יסוף. כל שבו להיות עולה וכאן יכל דבי. ובזה עדיין הכושים כל ממנס כאימן אינו שלא יחל עולו שם תרום או קונים שיסכים ישראל. Okay. So he says his answer is hard. The choice answer is hard because Rabbi Lezer Mitz only said that when will happen will be the mafreya, but until I'm not zoich, it's not working. Okay. So the choice needs an explanation. So what do we have? Let's summarize what we have. We have a k'tzos and reish ein chet and a k'tzos and reish dalet. In both places, that the k'tzos is saying that what? The k'tzos is saying that really makire kuno maton muetes is a prohibition to retract. And it's not yours right now. There's no kinyan. But still, there's ochamay askina in reference to hegdesh, that I can sanctify it. Okay, future now, it's a shayla, but I can sanctify it. Same thing is,
By the way, here it says,
I can sanctify it. What?
Here it says, Resh
No, it's a different k'tzos. Reish ein chet, that's a k'tzos we saw. Yes, by Bechoy you get double. Consider Muchzok even though you don't own it. And also here you can do Meiser and Truma like Hegdesh even though you don't own it. Okay, Israel, Famalizavitz is tough. And his Dimyon that is like Heg. Since it's beyond I can sanctify. In the future, it's not the Moshe V'Loilam. And here somebody promised me to give it to me in the Retract as if it's in my hands. And if I can sanctify it. It's a hard teretz, but that's what he says. It's the choice opinion. Now we're ready to see the Nesidus. Let's go back to our papers. So we saw the Ktsoy Sachoish and Simon Reish Ein Ches. And he says in the end, V'aynosh Kosav the Simon Reish Dalet Sivkin Gonim, what we just said now. Now we're going to see the Nesidus. It's in the second page, the Nesidus. Mikre Muchzak. I'm reading the Tivot HaMishpat. Ein Ktsoy Sachoish. This is the Nesivus and Reish Ein Ches. The top of the page. Mikre Muchzak. Call the Muchzak. Ein Ktsoy Sachoishen. Look at the Ktsoy Sachoishen. You don't have it, Aaron? It's in the Slabot Keshitz and the base. Moshe, you have it? Tzus HaChoshen. Reisha in Chet Sivkot and Yudalev. Ein Tzus HaChoshen and Reisha in Chet Sivkot and Tezvov. Sherotzo Lilmoid, he wanted to learn Mehod Makir Kuno from that law Makir Kuno. The Ave Muchzok. By Makir Kuno we make the father a holder. Why? Mishum, because the Jew that is a friend of the coin is not to retract. Mishum, because now the Kamaton Muet is like a small gift, and by a small gift there's a prohibition to retract because the Chusar Amona. Sharit is going to suave la the Kaza. In Ken, if so, the Ktois learns. Who adi, the same law. Kshenish baliten matono. When he takes an oath to give a gift, same thing when somebody takes an oath to give a gift and makes the receiver to be a holder, and if he dies, the son will get double. This is the jump of the choice. The choice is the whole idea of a kirikuno. It's like matonu muetes, there's a prohibition to retract, and once it's a prohibition to retract, it makes the receiver as a muhzak. Even though you're not an owner, your muhzak is enough to give it over as a yerusha that the gets double. Same thing is, if it's a big maton, not maton muet, it's a big gift. But if somebody took an oath, a vow, an oath, to keep his words, to give it over, right? So then the receiver is a muhzak. Even divrei chol. Took an oath. I always say, if somebody tells me I'm a rabbi, he tells me I give you a gift. It's like an oath because charity, tzedakah, whatever he says in your mouth, it's charity. You must keep. So then what? I'm a muhzak or not? So I can borrow money on it. On the promise that you must keep. Somebody promised me, I'll give you X amount of money.
Share is like a nishma.
It's like nishma, like a vow.
You said before it's only by Hegdesh.
But neder, tzedakah is like neder. It's like shvuah. Right? So shvuah, neder is the same. According to the Ktsois, I'm a muhzak, and I can borrow money on it already. I'm a muhzak. Bechol gets double. Okay. The lefiz according to this. ולפי according to this, אם כן, if so, בכל מתון ומועטס and any small gift, להווה המקבל מוחזק, let the receiver become a holder. And the answer is yes. Every maton muetes, the receiver is a holder, the bechol get double. The Ktois and Toisa says the same. But then the scene is not happy with this. It's maybe Makiri Kuni can make a muhzak. But Matonu Muetes, this is Mechusar Anor Yomon, but the receiver is a muhzak already making. It's too much. Or Shvuah, he says. Matonu Meruba Shvuah is also a muhzak. Okay. But Lefi Ani Uzdaiti, according to my poor knowledge, and the Sivir says my different understanding. The Ikar Atam, the main reason is the Davka b'matono is kohuna the ushel kohen, specifically by a gift of kohuna priesthood that belongs to the kohen. What does that mean? You say don't mix up the boxes. Here is special because it's matnos kuna. What is matnos kuna? It's gifts that belong to the kohanim. The ushel kohen. Those gifts belong to the kohen already. What's the raya? We talk for Kohen. What happened if the Kohen attacks it without asking permission? What will be the law? He cannot take it back. Talk for Kohen. B'makire kuno. Why? Talk for Kohen. If I grab it, makire kuno. Eino chav la'azir. I'm not obligated to give it back. Bezin cannot take it out of me. Kamvu b'tezmu mitzin da'voramun beis. So what do we see? That Mamas Kuno, which is Makire Kuno, If I attack it, I cannot retract. Must be what?
Why can't you say that the shvua or the neder or whatever
That it belongs to the kohen.
belongs
Must be a
already?
Kenyan.
You can say the same svara for anything, not dafka matnot kohen. We say
You
dafka.
can say like this. Before, before, again, if
Must
you have
be a
matnas
Kenyan.
kuna, what?
It must be a Kenyan.
Must some kind belongs to the kohen. Matonois kahuna du shel kohen. What's the raya? They talk for kohen makire kahuna. I don't have lachzir. If it's not makire kahuna, who made you to grab and think that I want to give it to you, I want to give it to somebody else? So the grabbing would help. But if it's a makire kahuna, so no other coin will come in, I'm allowed to grab, but if I grab, he cannot retract, it's mine. Va'atam, the reason is, comes in and says, I'll give you sense to it. Why? By matnas kuna, when there's a makir kuna, nobody else, he's not going to give it to somebody else, I'm allowed to grab. Because it's his. It belongs to the kohen. Why it belongs to the kohen? Va'atam, the reason is, the matnos kuna shel kohen. To start with, matnos kuna belongs to the kohen. Rak sheyesh lebal habayit, toy basano b'tzivra achmono. The balabait has the rights to decide who to give it to by the commandment of the Torah. That he has a right to give who he wants. It's a din. It really belongs to the kohen. Just the balabait that the Torah gave him permission to give to decide which kohen.
So the real question is, how strong is that right?
The kevan and since the also lachzor boy. In makire kuno case is you're not to retract. Nisbatel is being nullified, cancelled. Atevasano, shenos lo rachmona, that God gave him. The merciful one gave them gift. The really matnas kuna belongs to the kohen, but the Torah gave you a gift, the balabait, to decide who to give it to. Gave it to Masano in it. But when you prohibit to retract because he's a friend, family friend is going, the Torah took away that Torah is being cancelled, nullified. That Torah is nullified. The gift that they gave you, it's a din, like he said, it's a gift and a din. When you're not allowed to retract, the Torah never gave it to you. They took it away from you.
The question is, how strong is the...
We just said now, this is a test case, how strong it
The
is.
pleasure. It's not strong
It's
at
a
all.
gift that Hashem gave you and he can take it away from you.
But it is not strong at all.
Debate.
Once you decide...
And now he says, the b'mokonisu, in a place of prohibition, loy nostano rachmono, the merciful one didn't give it to him. The Torah gave you the power to decide when it is not against the Torah. But when it's against the Torah, because there's a prohibition to retract. Because makir kuno, there's another law of the Torah of God. And they said that you don't retract. Said God doesn't give you the power anymore to choose. Because the power to choose is not against the Torah. It's a gift.
Hin tzedek, lav tzedek.
Right.
או שזה also from Rachmona.
Right.
מה ליוחם, מה ליוסו, רק דווקא בקונה.
Because Kohuna is without speaking.
It makes no sense why.
Kohuna is without even a night.
It makes no sense why this svara would be true in all the Torah.
The same
When you
svara.
make a neder, we make a shvua.
The same thing.
That's it. You
Neder, Shvuah,
It's already there.
Matanim Wetes, which is also Lo Yasu Avlo, some Chodaita. It's you're not allowed. But
מה ליוחם, מה ליוסו, אם תרחמונה.
Everything.
Rachmona gives, Rachmona takes.
דווקא במתנות כהונה makes no sense.
Kevon Shu Eino Yochol Lachzo, since the Kohen is not allowed to retract, the Mekabel Yochol Letokfoi Bal Kocho, and the receiver can attack it by force. Bal Kocho Shal Noisen, against the giver. Ukshi Kefeyu, when he attacks it, Yeshol Legam will be his totally. The Kaddish means to say to even marry a woman with it. For the whole dog and anything, you can buy food with it. Whatever it is, it's yours. Sell it, marry a woman with it. It's Ava Muchzo. He's a Muchzo. Once a uno momento. So according to the Nesivas, there is a Kenyan here, there's no Kenyan, but there's an ownership.
There's no need for keeping.
There's no need for Kenyan. Because since the Matnas Kuna to start with is the Kohen. Just the Torah gave the Balabai, Tevas Hanot to decide to who. But the Torah didn't give that power to decide to who only when there's no Isu, when there's the Isu to retract. The Torah took away the power to decide. So stays the Kohen. Which Kohen? Only this Kohen, because you don't have the power to decide.
Right.
The same way if he grabbed, you cannot retract.
You can marry somebody.
And the receiver can attack it by force. And we attacks will be his, can Mekadosh Yidro. It's a muhzak. He's a muhzak with it.
I don't see what the difference of Kohen. Okay, the same thing.
I'm with you. The Mashiach makes no sense.
The same thing.
What?
Yeah, this Rahmana does it.
Achmona gave you the power to choose. Here, Achmona didn't give you the power to choose.
When I made it,
So stays the madness of the Kohen. Same thing you'll have to grab. It'll be yours to Mekadosh Yishu when you grab. So it makes you a muhzak.
That's all good. Mashiach, that's where we are.
So one says, any other Kohen, Masha'enkin b'shvur. Rather than when I give a gift, stop, and I take an oath to give a gift. Or b'shamaton, or any small gift, or a big gift with an oath, which is a prohibition to retract. If I take an oath to give you a gift, and the person grabs it, attacks it, wouldn't be his. Until I make an acquisition to him. Before I make an acquisition, cannot attack it. Because manshali nikolay bekinyan, as long as you acquired him by acquisition, lo yishalo wouldn't be his. La'av muhzak is not a muhzak. 1 second. Well, why boo? You boo on you.
Because it's the same God. The same God who said, this belongs to the Kohen. The same God said, when you put my name in the Shvuah, it belongs to the God.
That's not true.
It's also Mufzak.
That's not true.
Why?
Boo!
I actually booed.
No, just I did boo because to give carpet back to the receivers. No, but it makes a lot of sense. This is what
How
he
can we
says.
say that there's no...
First of all, what does he say? Yes, what does he say?
How can we say that there's no
sure.
digging when it comes around to the Kohen grabbing?
He's saying like this. He's saying Matnas Kuno is the gift of the Kohen. It's a gift that the Ushel Kohen belongs to the Kohen. Which is the Torah gave the Balabai power to decide who to give it to. And when is Bakir Kuno, when there's a prohibition to decide who, only one guy that you makir, so then the Torah didn't give you the power anymore. So it comes back to the original status. It belongs to a Kohen. And since this specific Kohen can attack and own it, Kadosh Isha, she's a muhzak. He's a holder of it. So this Kohen, which the Matos Kuna belongs to the Kohanim, this specific Kohen is a muhzak, what belongs to him.
So really the Kenyan really is not such a huge, there's a small Kenyan and a small right of choice.
Right?
Because the Kenyan really just happens automatically.
Kenyan belongs to the tribe.
It belongs to the Kohen. The wording is that if no one else can take it and he's the only Kohen, he gets it, no matter what.
If there was only one Kohen, and you have no free choice to give it to somebody, there's nobody else in the world. So it'll be his, it'll be his. Now, when there's a lot of Kohanim, so really is also mine too.
And that's the concern.
I'm a Kohen, belongs to me. He's a Kohen, belongs to him too. We may be partners, but it belongs to me. Now, he has a free choice to give it who he wants and takes it away from me. No moment. But if he doesn't have the power to choose,
He doesn't get a pleasure.
so then it comes back, that belongs to me.
It's Mufzak.
And I'm a muhzak because I have the power to grab and take it. There's no need to a king.
He can only use his power to choose once.
No need for Kenyan.
Yes. Now, but by an oath, if somebody wants to give not the school, it's not a gift. And he took an oath or a small gift that he cannot retract. But it's not matna skuna. So who the hell I'm not to retract? Sure, I'm not allowed to retract. But it still doesn't belong to the receiver. There's no kinyan here. By matna skuna, I don't need a kinyan because it belongs to the kohen. To start with, it's his gift. Just I have something that breaks away from it. Is the Torah that breaks away? When that goes away, it goes back to the original reality that it belongs to the kohen. But by an oath, a gift that I promise to give an oath, it's not a gift of kuna stam chuli. So it doesn't belong to the Kohen, to the receiver.
Shvua doesn't make it.
Koach HaShavua only makes them not to retract, but doesn't make it to be owned by the Kohen. They need a kinyan. And as long as it's not his, it's not a muhzak anymore. And the dvorim eilu kiven ma'arin. This is the ma'arin. You printed with me the ma'arin, right?
Yeah.
You have to check the ma'arin. What's your problem with Michal? This is the Ktsois. I mean, in the Sivas, it's another path. The Ktsois held that there's no kinyan. And the Sivas holds there's no need for a kinyan. Because you own it. Since Matnos Kuna, it's a Kohen, like have it. What, Reb Chaim? It's a very big svah. It's a very big svah. But that's what the Rosh said. That's what the Siva says. It's a very strong svah. He said a svah? Okay. We're going to deal more about it. There's a few kashas against the Nesivas. One kasha, which I heard from my son-in-law. He's not around. Reb Chaim, he told me on Friday, a very good kasha. Very strong kasha. That Makiri Kahuna has to do with the Shabbos Pashas. I spoke about it at my table in my house. There's a Gemara in Ksubas of Kuf Beis that says, Amud Aleph, that Pidyon Haben, you know what's Pidyon Haben? You have to redeem your firstborn son. Pidyon Haben. Redeeming your firstborn son. With 5 shkalim. So it says Makiri Kahuna by Pidyon Haben, 5 selah. My kirikuna, by Pidyon Haben, the Kohen can deduct a loan, or he owns that. He owns the 5 shkolim. My kirikuna.
Before you give it to him.
Before you give it to him. The Gemara says he owns it. And the Torah says talk about the case of my kirikuna. So the problem is, he said here we don't have the svor of the nesivas. Why? Because what the nesivas says, it's only by gifts. He says by Pidyon Haben.
It's also matas
Un momento, this is what we spoke about at the table this Shabbat. Is it Truma and Meiser and Zolach Haim Cave belongs to who? To the Kohen, you just have to separate it. But Pidyon Haben, it's an obligation on the Gavra, on the father, to give money. It's just a debt, but there's no ownership of the Kohen. Just a debt. Good, no good. I found an Ibn Ezra and a Parsha. This is what we spoke on the table on Shabbos. Yes. We found an Ibn Ezra and our Parsha. There's 2 places and all over the Torah that speaks about Pidyon Haben. One in Parshas Boy and one in Parshas Koirach. In Parshas Boy it says, every father has to redeem his firstborn son. Bechol banecho tivdeh. You should redeem your firstborn son. But in our Parsha, it says different language. And the Ibn Ezra is Medayik. In our Parsha, it says something else. I don't think that I'm a smart guy that I found this Ibn Ezra. Happened to be, and I went on my car on Friday, and I opened the radio to hear words of Torah, not to waste time. And somebody was giving a whole drasha on Pidyon Haben. He brought this Ibn Ezra. I have what to find on my son-in-law. What Ibn Ezra says, Parshas Koirach, it says like this. It says, Mina Shammai. It says like this. The language here in Parshas Koirach is a little bit different. The language says like this. It says like this. It talks about the Levim and the Kohanim. By Hashem spoke to Aaron, he says, I'm giving you all the Trumois, and this will be your Truma and Meiser, Bikurim, Chulim, whatever it is. And it says, Kol Peterechem, all firstborn son. Lechol Basar, any flesh. Asher Yakrivu L'Hashem Bo'odom, by a man or behema. Yeh Lechol be yours. Hashem is giving it to the Kohen. He says, Ach, Padot Tifdes Bechor Adam. You shall redeem the firstborn son. The Ibn says, who's you? The Kohen. The Kohen has a mitzvah to redeem. The Kohen has a mitzvah. Not only the Jew has a mitzvah, Parshas Boy. Yeah. So I said maybe because it's a mitzvah, we tell the kohen. So maybe now we have the nesivas. So maybe also by madness kuna of Pidyon Haben, since the kohen has a mitzvah to redeem, means he owns it. It's like Betum and Maise. It's my mitzvah, it belongs to me too. It's not only his chiyuv, but also mine. Sure, you can choose any money, but it has a mitzvah. So therefore, maybe you can answer this question. Like, and answer to the nesivas. So this Friday, I had an answer to the nesivas. Says, I worked with a kash against the nesivas. My son gave me a punch. I said, what's shot in the nesivas? Couldn't figure that out. I said, he found an Ibn Ezra to give an answer. But it's not muchach, because you could say he has a mitzvah, but it means he owns it. Okay. Whatever. We're going to deal more about it.